Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. So yesterday, I guess after we finished taping the show, we saw two different developments in Donald Trump's legal saga, ongoing legal saga with the 10 million things that they keep throwing at him. So first, the Supreme Court announced its decision to hear former President Donald Trump's claims of presidential immunity in the January 6th election interference case, with arguments scheduled for the week of April 22nd, effectively pausing Biden's special counsel Jack Smith's ability to move forward with the case, like at all, until a decision is made at the Supreme Court level. So the justices are set to decide the question: whether, and if so, to what extent does a former president enjoy presidential immunity from criminal prosecution for conduct alleged to involve official acts during his tenure in office? Now, SCOTUS has never before decided whether a former president is immune from criminal liability for allegedly, I'd like to emphasis on allegedly illegal acts committed while in office, but it has in the past said that a president is entitled to absolute immunity from civil liability for official acts. So we've got that going on, okay? But also yesterday, over in Colorado, a Democrat state judge ruled that the State Board of Elections, quote, shall remove Donald J. Trump from the ballot for the general primary election on March 19th, 2024, or cause any votes cast for him to be suppressed. Hold on, I thought that they were all about, they didn't like voter suppression, and now they're like, we are causing your votes to be suppressed because she says the 14th Amendment ban on insurrectionists holding office. Yes, this is, of course, despite the fact that Trump has never even been charged with insurrection, not just in Jack Smith's January 6th case, but any other case. There's been no charge of that. And still, Judge Tracy Porter found it fit to overturn the State Board of Elections ruling last month. They ruled last month to keep Trump on the ballot, but she said that their decision was clearly erroneous because Orange Man bad or something, I guess. I guess he's so bad, in fact, that the same people that scream about democracy and our democracy is everything. We don't have one, by the way, but our democracy is everything. They want to impede that very same democracy by taking away American citizens' right to vote for the candidate of their choice. Very strange behavior, by the way, if you are secure in your own party's ability to win an election. But the Trump team has already appealed the decision. And by the way, for those of you following along at home, this marks the third state now where some sort of a Karen in power has removed Trump from the ballot, following Colorado and then Maine. The Supreme Court has already heard arguments from Colorado on that matter. They have yet to release a decision. And I want to bring in my friend, senior editor-at-large at Newsweek and host of America on Trial, Josh Hammer, to discuss all of this. Josh, I appreciate you being here.
Sara, you bet. Thanks for having me, as always.
So being that there are about 1 billion ways that the judicial system is being weaponized against Donald Trump, I want to compartmentalize both of these issues that I just brought up. So first, the push to remove Donald Trump from the ballot. I know the arguments have been heard. What do you expect the outcome to be in that particular case, which would obviously nullify what Colorado has just done and Illinois and Maine?
Yeah. So first of all, Sara, I'm expecting this opinion to come down essentially imminently because Colorado's primary is this Tuesday. Yeah. Colorado is a Super Tuesday state. It's a little curious to me that they haven't released the opinion already. Admittedly, it's an expedited appeal. They had an oral argument just a few weeks ago. But all signs are pointing towards this opinion probably coming out tomorrow. So within the next 24 hours, frankly, if I had to guess, it's going to be an 8-1 or 9-0 case. You know, even at oral argument, you saw Justices Elena Kagan and even Ketanji Brown Jackson, who were deeply skeptical of Colorado's arguments. Really, the only question for me is whether Sonia Sotomayor really wants to solidify her resistance street cred and her, far left bona fides by issuing a heroic to the MSNBC crowd solo dissent. But this is going to be a very straightforward case. Trump is going to be on the ballot. There are at least 5 different reasons why Colorado's argument does not hold water. It's going to be an easy decision for the court.
Yeah, I felt that way as well when, obviously you are much more of a legal expert than me. I'm not at all. But even me, just a commoner, listening to, people like, as you point out, Elena Kagan and Ketanji Brown Jackson, asking actual tough questions to these attorneys arguing for Colorado. I'm like, boy, when you've lost Ketanji Brown Jackson, it is not looking good for you. So I hope that is the case. So, okay, so let's move over to the presidential immunity case, which is a little bit more nuanced. What's your gut telling you about that case?
Yeah, so this is a very complicated case, both on the substantive constitutional law as well as what lawyers call the procedural posture. The procedure is kind of complicated as well. So this is what we call an interlocutory appeal. This is not the actual case. The actual case, obviously, is Jack Smith's case about the 2020 election and January 6th. But they have to decide this issue first because it is a necessary threshold question before even getting to the merits there. Now, procedurally speaking, on Wednesday, what the Supreme Court did was they took basically the middle ground view. So what Trump's lawyers really wanted in their ideal dream scenario, they would have issued a stay of the D.C. Circuit's denial of immunity while allowing the Trump team to seek review before the en banc full 11-judge D.C. Circuit, simply for purposes of slowing this down as much as possible, running up the clock. On the other hand, the best case scenario for Jack Smith would have been to just deny this stay, say that he has no immunity, and then the trial could start. So they took the middle ground approach where they're going to expedite this hearing on the merits. So looking at the actual merits on the actual Article 2 presidential powers constitutional question, I am probably about the most sympathetic of anyone in the legal commentariat to President Trump's claims, but I also tend to be a pro-Article 2, pro-presidential powers guy in general, so I can't be accused of inconsistency there. Looking at the current 9 justices, Sarah, I don't see it. I don't see the votes there for full absolute immunity. You probably have Clarence Thomas. You probably have Sam Alito, maybe Kavanaugh because he's also a pro-presidential powers guy. After that, hard to say. What I can see, and Jack Goldsmith, a Harvard law professor, had a really good tweet thread on this earlier today, is I could see kind of a mixed result whereby they basically say that some acts do have you fully immune from possible criminal prosecution, some acts don't. And then what that would do is then would kick it back down to the lower courts to go into a fact-finding mission to discern whether these acts were covered or not covered. That would be very good for the Trump team as well, because that again would just delay the process even more.
Yeah, I mean, I guess delaying the process to a certain point, but then what happens if, let's say, let's war game this out. Okay, so then What happens if they delay the process and let's say Donald Trump is elected president in November, and then could the trial still continue after that? Like, what happens then?
Look, we're in uncharted waters here, so I mean, to an extent, Sarah, your guess is as good as mine. Look, there are long-standing Department of Justice (DOJ) guidelines against perceived election interference. Believe it or not, I mean, the DOJ has plowed through a lot of these guidelines in recent years there. Yeah. But as you start to get closer and closer to November, I expect the pressure is going to build on Special Counsel Jack Smith to potentially drop this prosecution in its entirety. I'm not suggesting that he will do that, but historically speaking, and again, just historically, because we really do live in different times these days, the DOJ has tried as hard as it possibly could to avoid the perception of meddling in elections. So if they're going based on if past is precedent, then they might even just abort this thing if it's getting really, really close to November. Again, I think we're living in different times. It's Trump. People lose their minds here, so I'm not predicting that. But if Trump wins the election in November, at that point, I assume the prosecution has to be dropped because Trump obviously would just go ahead and pardon himself for the federal crimes there. He can't necessarily pardon himself for state crimes. That's a little more complicated. But the federal crimes, he can just clearly and easily and cleanly pardon himself. So if he does win in November and Jack Smith has avoided these DOJ guidelines, I think the case is probably dropped at that point.
So let me ask you this then, Josh. Would you agree, because I don't want to put words in your mouth here, would you agree that all of the indictments, all of the cases against Donald Trump are baseless, a baseless weaponization of the justice system, of the judicial system against Donald Trump? Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I do. I think, but Sarah, looking at what's happening right now in our country, you cannot look at this as good faith prosecution.
Right.
You cannot look at this as a good faith use of the rule of law in general, not just prosecutions. I mean, Trump's facing these ridiculous civil lawsuits as well. The fraud case, the $454 million, including interest payments, this $83.3 million, including punitive damages, and E. Jean Carroll, which, by the way, was E. Jean Carroll's second shot at the apple. She had a previous settlement for $5 million. How much money can this woman's reputation possibly be worth, according to New York State jury? So looking at all the above, you kind of have to zoom out here. Yes, this is absolutely an unprecedented lawfare prosecution, but the D.C. case for Jack Smith and the Georgia case with Fani Willis are the most absolute dangerous of all of them to me, because those really do involve core political speech. Now, you can say that Donald Trump and his co-defendants, his allies, people in his administration, his campaign, whatever, you can say that they were lying about the 2020 presidential election. But here's the key point, Sarah. Even conceding for the sake of arguments here that they were lying, which I'm not necessarily going to concede, but even conceding that hypothetically, you are allowed to lie in this country. It is not a crime to lie, except in very limited circumstances, the Stolen Valor Act, and some very limited exceptions. But generally speaking, to try to criminalize and prosecute someone for lying, even again, conceding for the sake of argument that it was a lie, that is a really dangerous precedent to set here.
So you brought up Fani Willis. Now I know you called her Fani, and that's how she prefers to be called. I don't want to make her too fancy, so I call her Fani. But how does this play out for her? Because I'm watching all of this, and I'm like, there's no way this woman gets away with all of this. All these misconduct hearings. I mean, we're seeing text messages now of Nathan Wade, her boyfriend's friend, who's like, yeah, they've been doing this a really long time. I mean, she seems really sunk. But then I think to myself, well, I don't know that I trust anything these days, because I see how the justice system, I should say the judicial system now, because I don't think I can call it the justice system anymore. I see this two-tiered judicial system, and I see how they can weaponize against one subset of society and not the other. And then I'm like, I don't know, but the judge seems to be pretty impartial. So how do you see the Fani Willis thing playing out?
Yeah, I thought that the way that Judge Scott McAfee comported himself, the way that he acted back when Fani testified earlier this month, was very neutral. In fact, I mean, he was very much kind of just giving the witness the rope with which to hang herself. Yeah. That was frankly kind of how I viewed his conduct, which was very hands off. And she sounded like an absolutely crazy and frankly just really dumb person. I mean, openly wondering what continent Belize is in. I mean, the Bahamas, I think she was questioning. But this cell phone geolocator investigator, which Trump and his co-defendants, the lawyers, retained. Really damning stuff. I mean, unless that they can show that is somehow all fabricated, thousands, tens of thousands of text messages and calls combined in that year 2021 before the November 2021 commencement of the prosecution. Sarah, if I'm putting on my prognosticator hat here, I don't see how this prosecution ultimately unfolds in Fulton County, Georgia. I think they're probably going to have to move it out of Fulton County, which if that happens, will very much delay this prosecution, which by the way was on the current calendar is only going to start in August. So it'll be delayed even more. Wow. Two, once you move out of Fulton County, which is where Atlanta is, you're going to be in a much purple or perhaps even a red jurisdiction. And the jury pool is going to reflect that. So Trump, I think, is looking very, very good in Georgia right now. The D.C. prosecution with Jack Smith, a bit of a mixed bag. We'll see what the Supreme Court does. But that is really where the Biden regime is putting all of the eggs in the basket right now. It's in that D.C. case. That's really the one to watch.
Well, Josh, I appreciate you coming on. And I know I make a point to say I appreciate having someone much smarter than me come here and explain all of these, the process, especially when there's too many for me to keep up with. I'm like, 91 indictments, I can't keep up with that. I need Josh to come talk to me. So Josh, come back soon, okay?
Anytime, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. All right, so we have to, we're going to go to break, and then I'm going to bring on the panel. I think you're going to be really excited. Let's just say there's going to be a lot of estrogen in the room, but it's going to be a really good time. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Jace Medical. So do you remember a time when vital medications didn't get rationed in the United States? That used to be something that happened in other third world countries, but not here. But unfortunately, things just aren't that way anymore here. This is one reason why you really, really need to make sure you have the Jace case on hand. We talk about prepping in the sense that we talk about, you got to have your food supply and you got to have, okay, Great. But what you also need is your medical supply. This is a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics, which are going to treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. It's customizable, and it has dozens of add-on medications available. So you can choose the ones that best fit you and your family's needs. They also have ivermectin as an add-on option if you are interested in that. And you can get gift cards for your family or your loved ones. If you have grown adult children who have families of their own, this is a really, really, really great idea for you to get a gift card for them. They can make sure that their household is taken care of. They'll have peace of mind, and you can too. You can go to jasemedical.com, enter code Sara at checkout for a discount on your order. That is promo code Sara at jasemedical.com. All right, joining me now, we're going to have a lot of fun here on Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. We've got the chicks on the right. Yes, that's right. We've got Amy Jo Daisy Clark along with Miriam Mockweaver, and I'm going to try really hard. I know you guys have a very loyal fan base, and I'm going to just refer to you as Daisy and Mock because I don't want to piss anyone off.
We had to learn that lesson.
We pissed them off first, so I don't know. I'm really glad that you guys are here.
Well, thank you for having us.
We've been following each other for a while on social media, and I feel like we are of the same brand of take no shit.
Yes.
So it's always nice to be around women that are like-minded like that. So I want to get into the border, what's going on at the border today. So we had these dueling appearances between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Now, Biden is fascinating. He curiously chose Brownsville, Texas as his destination. Donald Trump chose Eagle Pass. And, it shouldn't be lost on anyone that according to CBP, Brownsville is one of the least trafficked areas on the border, recording just 46 migrant encounters over the past 5 days compared to Eagle Pass, where, of course, Donald Trump is going, one of the most heavily trafficked areas. You guys can see who are watching on the show. You can see this comparison of Eagle Pass. It's like 500 per day, 558, 563, 152, 333. Brownsville's like 6. 12, 0, 22, 6. I'm sure that was just a coincidence. I'm sure that wasn't intentional by Joe Biden's team. So I want to play some of Joe Biden's welcoming committee that he got down there in Brownsville, Texas. This was just a Trump flags, American flags, caravan of flags that I don't think they were very happy that he was there.
They shouldn't be.
No, they should not.
No.
So Border Patrol also, they tweeted out ahead of Joe Biden's visit. They said, attention, this is Border Patrol Union. They said, attention, President Biden, keep our name out of your mouth today.
Oh, dang.
I
love it. Yeah.
Spicy. So apparently the Border Patrol president told Fox News' Bill Maloogian that the White House never reached out or invited them to his border visit. And of course, they're going to use this to push this, what Joe Biden is calling the bipartisan border agreement, even though it is not a border security agreement. It's just a border funding agreement.
Legislation? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's completely, it's nuts. It's like, and it gives more money to Ukraine and places like that, which is not really helping the border. I find it interesting because Trump wants to be where I say the action. I don't even know if you want to call it where the action is.
Yeah.
And then Biden is just like, where's my ice cream?
Right. Right.
He's such a disgrace. And it's been, a year since he's been there?
Mm-hmm. And I think he's only been there twice. And even when he went there before, it was like same type of thing.
Yeah,
right?
They cleaned it up.
Right.
Yeah, it was completely sterilized.
Yep. Yeah.
Just like President Xi's trip to San Francisco.
Totally.
All of a sudden, we got to clean up now.
Uh-huh.
We don't care about the mess and the problems for our own American citizens, but when a bigwig is coming, we got to make it look like everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for Biden to now all of a sudden in the middle of an election year decide that this is important, even though people on the right like us have been screaming about this for the past 3 years, I would hope that people aren't buying it. You know what I mean?
I saw at least the people there in Brownsville. I did at least see that there was a local news clip where they were interviewing people who lived there, and they were all like, yeah, too little, too late. You should have done something sooner. We don't want you here. Why are you even coming? Like, it was very negative feedback from people, at least in Brownsville. So I would tend to agree that, I mean, even the average citizen has been seeing all of these clips on the news of people pouring into the country, of Border Patrol fist bumping these people as they're walking in through the country. I mean, it can't be lost on even the dumbest of U.S. voters that, like, let's see, it is now almost March and we have an election in November and Joe Biden hasn't done anything for 3 years and now all of a sudden he's visiting to Brownsville.
We invited them.
Right.
I mean, he literally he and Kamala both invited these people back in, what was it, 2019 when they had the debate. He was one of all those people up on a stage when they asked, do you want to give free health care to illegals? He was one of the people, and they all raised their hands, all of them. I mean, these people asked for all of these folks to come across the border illegally. They basically said, come on, we'll give you free crap.
Right.
Come on over. And this is what's happening. And now they're like, well, crap, now we're in trouble because it's an election year and we have to save face. And it's too little too late because we're on to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, too, it's so, I would say, traitorous behavior to allow that to happen for all of this time. As you point out, invite them in.
Yeah.
And then when you pretend like you're addressing the problem, you throw more money at Ukraine and Israel and all of these other foreign pet projects than you are even throwing to the border. And again, I don't want to use the term to border security because a lot of it is just to get more Border Patrol agents to come in and process these people. It's not like to ultimately to prevent them from coming in.
Right.
I think to babysit.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people know that nothing will change. Like on our show, we see the comments live every morning and we can just tell people are so fed up with being last. You know, it's so many and we feel the same way. I think so many Americans feel like, okay, we just keep paying all these taxes. We keep paying for things. We're the ones who go to work every day. We're the ones who work hard. We follow the rules. We do all the right things. And then all these people just put us last. Like, when do we get something out of all the things that we pay for?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it is. It's America last.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to play a clip of a member of the Border Patrol talking about how they're just trying to get these people through as quickly as possible. Watch.
Yeah, everything changed under President Biden. The way we patrol the border, our operations have changed. The way we vet people has changed. The way we process people through the system has changed. Everything that we do has changed under this administration. And it's not about enforcement. It's about getting people into this country as quickly as they possibly can. And so we've become extremely efficient at doing that. And we're all sick of it because we know that if this administration would do what is necessary, we wouldn't have the deaths that we have in this country. Not just Laken Riley. Look at all of the fentanyl poisonings that we're seeing in the United States. We could stop that if we had the proper policy. He won't give it to us because his open border base won't let him.
So, Mark, it's not just that what he mentioned, which is absolutely true, the fentanyl and the violent deaths, right? The increase in violent crime that is tied to illegal immigrants. It's also the amount of Chinese nationals, Russian nationals, people from Iran, like very scary people that we don't want here,
right,
that are coming in through our border in record numbers. And it's just, I'm like, there's no way, it seems inevitable that we are going to have another domestic terrorist attack that will be linked to Joe Biden's open border policy.
I don't see how we don't. And unfortunately, I worry that is what it's going to take for him to recognize, for his supporters to recognize he did this. Right. He did this all on day one of his presidency. He bragged about doing it for a long, long time until now we see the consequences. And so I guess at least the benefit is that Venezuela's crime rate is down, because now we're getting all of the worst from Venezuela. I mean, it's unthinkable to me that so many people buy into what KJP tries to sell every day, which is like, well, he's taking action and now it's Republicans that are blocking it. Bull. It's such nonsense.
It's crazy because just in the past 2 years, they've been saying the border's secure, the border's secure.
Right.
It's like, why would they believe him now? It's just nuts.
Yeah, no, that's a great point because we have like all of these clips of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and KJP and all this Alejandro Mayorkas, all these people saying, well, the border is secure. And then what was it last month? Joe Biden was like, Yeah, we've all known the border's been broken for a while. We're like, wait.
It's like, hello. There's a disconnect here. Yeah, but to your point, something I think will happen soon. I mean, of course. I mean, I think we're all just, this is why she never leaves her house.
I was very afraid to come here.
I know, it is, but it's a lot of people are afraid of that.
Yeah.
That's the reality, and we're just bracing ourselves for the inevitable.
Well, were you afraid to, because you mentioned that, I think it's a great point. Were you more afraid to come here because of that or because of the DEI hires in the airlines?
Both. Absolutely both.
I'm terrified to fly.
She is too.
I have become, and I'm so mad about it because I didn't used to be this fearful, and I blame it on Joe Biden for creating this. Like I told her the other day, I feel like he's changed the psyche of the country because now he's created emotions in people like me that I did not used to have. I did not used to be so fearful of flying. I didn't like it, but I was never as fearful or of just strangers. You know what I mean? Like you always prepare and you teach your kids there's stranger danger.
Head on a
be
swivel.
on guard, head on a swivel. But I am like obsessively weird about it now because of how much of an increase in crime we've seen because of how lax the border policies are. I mean, we're just a nightmare waiting to happen.
So I want to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I want to get more into the Laken Riley situation when it comes to illegal immigration and violent crime, what's going on in Georgia, and the excuses that local leaders are making for what? No. This has nothing to do with illegal immigration. No, please, come on. No, don't blame that. We'll get into that after the break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So for those of you who are living in constant pain, you might think like, well, this is just the way life is, and I'm just going to walk around in pain, and I'm going to be, maybe a little bit grumpier with my spouse, have less patience with my kids because I just have that nagging pain all the time. Well, please, first of all, try Relief Factor. But second of all, what you might not realize is that you've got inflammation in your body, and the inflammation is what is causing the pain. What Relief Factor does is instead of masking the pain, it actually gets to the root cause of the problem, which is the inflammation. So it's not just going to be like a Band-Aid, like a topical cream you put on and you're like, wow, this feels really good. It's cold and then it's hot and then it goes away and then you're stuck in pain. Relief Factor can actually just eliminate your pain for you. So here's what they tell you to do. Go to relieffactor.com, get their 3-week quick start. Okay, it's $19.95, and it does come with a feel better or your money back guarantee. So you've got nothing to lose except your pain. 70% of the people who go and get that go on to keep ordering more. It's working for that many people. So the odds are in your favor that it will work for you and it can be life-changing. You can go to relieffactor.com, get that 3-week quick start over at relieffactor.com. So going back to this illegal immigration issue that is plaguing, I used to think here in Texas, it's like, well, this is just a Texas problem. And now that not only the busing of all of these illegals, but just the sheer amount of them is driving them into other places. So we're seeing this problem plaguing, coming soon to a community near you. And I want to play for you the Democrat Sheriff John Williams in the county where 22-year-old nursing student Laken Riley was allegedly murdered by the illegal immigrant Jose Ibarra. This particular sheriff actually campaigned on not cooperating with ICE and federal immigration authorities. This was his promise to his county was I'm not going to do that. So I want to play him, this sheriff, during his campaign in 2020. Watch.
Like I just said, building relationships is key. And if we're, antagonizing people because they are undocumented,
illegal,
then they build that fear in them, and they're not likely to come to us, not only when we need their help, but when they need our help. So that's not something we'll be doing. We won't be doing any type of roundups. We won't be attributing to that culture of fear. We want people to respect the police, but we also want them to trust us.
Why would they respect the police if they see that the police, their sole job, you want to talk about the federal police, is not doing their job by letting these people in. And they're like, oh, cool, I can just not obey the law and I get rewarded for it. So why would they then go over to Georgia and be like, wow, I really respect the police since they, don't actually care to do their jobs? I don't understand how that would even be possible.
Exactly. And the first thing they did when they came into the country is they broke the law.
Exactly.
So
and they were rewarded for it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. This is what we're doing. So why is this lost on people? I don't your parents came to this country legally. And so we talk about this all the time, where people who do this legally are looking at what we're doing. And I can only imagine how irritated, how just angry they are at our whole system and how we're looking at this and how people like him, how they're looking at it. And it's a smack in the face of the people who did it legally.
And the other day on our show, we played a soundbite of Biden during the Democrat primary debates, talking about, because they were asked the question, do you think that the local authorities should work with ICE to remove? And he absolutely said no. And we were just like he's saying it. And so, this sheriff that you just played, people heard that and then voted for him.
Yeah.
And now it's like, now the consequences are being felt. So all these like bleeding hearts who are like, oh, sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, this is what you get.
Right.
Right,
exactly. So because it wasn't just the sheriff. So I want to play the district attorney. This is Deborah Gonzales at an open border rally in 2018 and then on a Zoom call in 2021 saying every immigrant is a friend and we don't need ICE. Okay, watch.
As for the future of ICE, ICE was created after 9/11. We did not have ICE, right? Before 9/11. And you know what? We didn't need it then. And I truly believe that we don't need it now. What we've done is we've criminalized people
9/11 was pretty bad.
to get a better life, and it's the same as what we've done with the police, with militarizing them, with giving them so much money that then they come into these community thinking that they have absolutely all of the authority to do whatever they want, however they want, to whoever they want.
What does that have to do with illegal immigrants?
And we can do that because look around you. Look to your left, look to your right. These are your neighbors, these are your colleagues, these are your families, and these are your friends. And yes, every immigrant is a friend.
Really?
So Jose
Laken's family.
Exactly. Jose Ibarra, were you calling him a friend while he was, I don't even know what he did. I just know he disfigured her skull in the process. I've never had a friend that's done something like that to me. So interesting how you can call every immigrant a friend. So now, despite all of this, I want to play for you guys the Athens, Georgia mayor, saying that there is no correlation, none whatsoever. Don't believe your lying eyes, okay, between illegal immigration and crime. Watch.
In the main, I caution against conflating immigration and crime. The data demonstrates that the two are not connected.
Wow.
Oh, does it? Really?
Because the impact of federal immigration policy on localities has been under such consistent discussion in recent months, I do want to say a few words about this.
What a
It's
joke.
my 18th year as a local government policymaker, and my work has overlapped with 4 U.S. presidencies and numerous iterations of Congress. All of them have failed to reach agreement on how to handle immigration.
Yeah. This is his legacy.
Huh?
This is what this guy's going to be remembered for. Because he's like, I've worked this, I've done this. Nobody cares now because you're a schmuck. This is what you are. I mean,
We don't condone violence on our show.
No, we
but,
don't.
Like, fists are forming, man.
Yeah.
Well,
how many illegals have these people taken into their home?
Right. Yeah. To your point, I would never advocate violence, but he does have a very punchable face.
It's very, very punchable.
This is what I'm saying.
And my fist was forming under the table.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, look, they want to push this narrative that every single person who comes across the border is just here for a better life. And that's just not true.
No, of course it's not.
It's not true. I mean, even if the someone with like the least amount of common sense can even say, well, they would be like every other society, which sure, you're going to have some people who are doing that. You're also going to have some people who are not, especially when, as you mentioned, I think it was you, Mark, who mentioned the Venezuelans who are like, well, crime's done there because they emptied all their prisons and sent them to our border.
Yeah.
So I don't think, I guess they are coming here to look for a better life. But in the meantime, they might just, rape and pillage and all sorts of things. But hey, they have a better life doing it.
But, we want a better life. We all want better lives for our children and everybody in our families, our friends. We want better lives, too. So I don't understand, why did they get to break the rules? And I would like to stop paying my taxes.
Yeah.
Do I get to do that just because of, whatever reason? Right. Why is it that they don't have to follow the rules and they get everything, and they get rewarded for it. And then hardworking American tax-paying citizens get screwed.
Right.
Why is that?
Right. Yeah. Well, I always point out too, these, they call them sanctuary cities. I mean, they're not sanctuary for Americans.
Right.
You don't get sanctuary as an American citizen. You get the exact opposite. It's America last.
Yeah.
Every single one of these places.
Yep.
And it amazes me that there's still so many people that they'll hear the stories about the Laken Rileys. And, she's not the only example. In fact, she's one of hundreds and hundreds of examples. And yet people are still like, oh, but they just want to come and have a better life.
Right.
Well, Laken wanted a life.
Yeah, she just wanted to live. I think she would have settled for maybe tumultuous at times if she could have just lived.
Right.
Or they'll use her story and they'll say something like, she shouldn't have been out. They'll use it as an example of, let's talk about women and how they shouldn't be out jogging alone.
Right.
Seriously?
That was vile.
Yeah.
That was the AP, right?
Yes.
I think, yeah.
It was beyond vile.
Yeah, it was disgusting. And just some quick stats since, I think the mayor over there in Georgia, and nor does the mainstream media want to pay attention to that. But from CBP, you look at, let's go to fiscal year 2023. This is just from non-citizens, okay? Assault, battery, domestic violence, 1,254. The year before that, it was 1,142. These are all non-citizens. These are all people who shouldn't be here, okay? Driving under the influence, 2,493. I'd venture to guess that some of those resulted in American deaths. How about illegal drug possession and trafficking? 2,055 just in fiscal year 2023. I'd imagine that some of those resulted in some American deaths as well. Yep. So, to act as if sexual offenses, 284. Gosh. These are all, there are American victims involved in all of these, and they want to say that illegal immigration is not tied to a higher increase in crime. And it's like, don't believe your lying eyes, guys.
Right, right.
Absolutely.
And then on top of that, it turns out that even as Biden tries to say, oh, I've created this amazing economy, that most of the jobs that he's created, which of course he hasn't, have gone to foreign nationals. They haven't even gone to American citizens. Yeah. So this impacts us in myriad ways that are deeply hurtful to American citizens. And people just don't care. Yeah. And it amazes me that there's still any support for Biden left whatsoever.
Yeah, and I was, when Laken died, I was waiting. I was thinking to myself, well, is Joe Biden going to go visit with her family? Like he visited with Navalny's widow. That was
George Floyd's family.
Yeah. Right.
All sorts of preferential
We didn't see any of that. What about victims of fentanyl? Right. We've not heard a peep from this White House about that. It's the number one killer, 18 to 44 in this country. I feel like that is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think that would be a big deal.
I would say so.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and we got to take a quick break and we'll be back with Mock and Daisy. Be right back.
Got something to say? Leave Sara a message at 888-969-5113.
So let's go back to don't believe your lying eyes. Okay. Yesterday, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre tried to say that Joe Biden, he just went through all of this physical fitness test and they were like, hey, maybe we should do people were like, hey, maybe you should do a cognitive test too. Maybe he should pass one of those. And they were like, nah, no, please. He doesn't need one of those. Don't you see the man? He's in amazing condition. So I want to play Karine Jean-Pierre, please. He passes a cognitive test every day. Watch.
Oh my God.
I think folks need to understand that the president passes, again, a cognitive test every day. If you look at what a clinical cognitive test is what it actually does, it is a 15-minute appointment.
I think she needs one too.
That is administered by someone that most of the time people don't actually know. And the president has a team of doctors that is with him 24/7.
Totally.
And he is able to do the work every day that is rigorous, that is more rigorous than it would be for any 15-minute clinical appointment.
I love her tell because when she gets flustered, she just starts blinking really fast.
That's a sign of a liar.
Yes. She's like, I don't even believe what I'm saying, and I don't really know how to get out of this one.
Give me my page.
Tactics when she's like, so look. Every single answer starts with a so look.
We're going to be clear.
Yeah.
We've been very clear.
Yeah.
What I've just laid out. It's been very clear.
So, look. Look, doesn't he pass a cognitive test every day? Haven't we seen all of the great, tremendous work that Joe Biden has been doing every single day? Haven't you guys felt that?
Oh, yes. I've been feeling it.
Do you think anybody buys this, though?
I just really don't.
Because doesn't it look worse that he won't take it?
Yes.
Okay, I just thought maybe that was me.
It's not just you, no.
yes.
And we were talking last week about how he has to wear like certain kinds of shoes now. Like he has his dress shoes that he can't walk in, and then he has to wear these certain hokas.
Yes.
The hokas that he has to wear. Those are like the tennis shoes, the athletic shoes, and he has to wear those certain kinds of that he can wear. We are such an embarrassment to like the whole world because this man is crapping his pants every day. He's just a complete you-know-what show.
I 100% believe that. So my friend Chad Prather has a friend who I believe is within the Secret Service, and he claims that they literally are like, no, we're like, he has his diapers changed.
I believe it.
I do too.
I believe it. So there's no way he can do 4 more years. There's just no way.
He couldn't even do the first 4.
No.
He's not capable.
No.
We already need a redo of this.
Yeah. Do you think do you think they're going to slip somebody in at the last minute? Yeah. What do you think? Yeah. Who do you think it's going to? Yeah, we think it's going to be Gavin.
Yeah,
Weasel,
it's got to be Newsom.
Greasy McWeasel.
Now, I think that they want Michelle Obama, but I don't think Michelle wants it that badly.
You're the same way.
Yeah.
Because she's too busy living the life.
Yes.
Why would she want to leave it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's got to buy more coastal homes and then
and complain about climate change.
Yeah. I would say that is not a solid investment. She should have thought better before investing in a multi-million-dollar mansion on the edge of the ocean.
Exactly. And then asking us to staple money to the clouds for climate change.
Right. Yeah, I just don't see this ending any other way than pivoting to someone else. Now, I also feel like time is running out with that because, I mean, I guess unless they do it at convention, but clearly Gavin wants it. I mean, he's running ads in the state of Florida that's like, you think you're free? You just come on over to California. We're way more free than you.
How do they push aside the first black woman?
I know.
How do they do that?
I know.
They put her in charge of a university or something. That's what I think they're going to do.
They're going to have to, they're going to have to buy her off.
Yeah, they're going to have to give her lots of money and put her in charge of a university. Some sort of cush job.
General.
Or, something like just some cush job.
Do you think she realizes that she's over her head?
She has to, right?
I think she's too dumb. I really honestly think she's that dumb. Yeah, she's unburdened.
Yeah.
By what has been. So unburdened.
Or maybe too high at certain points.
Yeah.
To understand.
She's smoking some of what Yellen shrooms or whatever. I don't know.
How does she keep saying the unburdened thing and not having anybody on her team tell her to stop?
I honestly think it's a speechwriter that just really hates her at this point. And she's just not noticed it, you know?
It's amazing. Like every time we hear it and there's a new clip of that, you're always like, there's no way. There's no way this is recent. There's no way this is new.
We're being
punked. No, this was yesterday.
It's remarkable.
The sad part is, I mean, I do think that, going back to Joe, I do think that he should take a cognitive test. I think that it should be required when, at the end of the day, like, if you're in a wheelchair, you can still do your job as president. So, like, let's focus more on the cognitive side. But, like, I also don't know that I trust these medical experts to give me the truth anyway.
Exactly. Who administers the test, right? This is the thing. Like, it's a doctor.
Right.
It's like, who is that?
I mean, you have a doctor who said that he was totally fine.
Exactly.
And he hadn't declined even further. And we, again, don't believe your lying eyes. So it's like, I'm not even sure that is enough anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe we do age limits. I don't know.
I know.
Which would be a start.
I know, but
like
then
literally everybody, at this point, it's become a joke where you say, oh, somebody celebrated their 85th birthday, and we're like, oh, well, they should run for president.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's just become ridiculous.
It is. It's totally ridiculous.
Yeah, I heard, I think it was Glenn and Stu on their radio show earlier today when they were talking about all of these people who are stepping down from power, like Mitch McConnell stepped down at 82, Nancy Pelosi stepped down at 82, from both of them from leadership. Like, all of these, they have this like track record of stepping down from leadership, and Joe Biden is like, I'm turning 82, give me 4 more years.
Oh my God. It's insane.
I mean, it really is. Like, it is.
What
is he? 80, he would be 85 at the end?
Yeah. Yeah, 86.
That cannot happen.
And in the private sector, this doesn't happen.
No.
It's in the private sector, people know, okay, well, I kind of want to retire around 65, 70, and that's pretty late, 70.
Yeah.
Because people want to enjoy their families. Like you can tell these people hate their families. They hate everybody around them, and they're just so thirsty for power and money.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. To be fair to Joe, I mean, his son's a crackhead.
Yeah, I mean,
I probably
spend time
wouldn't.
with him either.
He's a criminal. I probably wouldn't like him.
Or
very much.
Jill. I mean, who
wants to spend time with Dr. Jill?
Well, apparently they have a really good sex life.
Oh my God! Why do you have to go there?
Okay, all right. We got to take another. On that note, I need to go vomit. But I want to remind you guys, if you have not checked it out yet, we have a new show on the app. It is Cooking with the Robertsons. So it's Phil Robertson and his family, Miss Kay. And I'm just thinking this is it's going to make you really hungry because I'm sure it's really delicious food. So make sure that you go check it out over at blazetv.com. It is called Cooking with the Robertsons. We'll be right back. All right, I want to play before we have to go. This has been a lot of fun with you guys. I want to play a mom who has an OnlyFans who was very upset that she had to pick her kid up from school early because he's vomiting, and that's so rude. Watch.
I am so pissy today. Just downright mother today. I had to come up here. I had to come up here at 11 o'clock in the afternoon. That's prime time. That's prime time.
Can you please put on a bra?
Yeah, that would be.
Put those away.
If you know what I mean. But listen, so that's partly why I'm cranky, but I'm cranky because my child is 10. I had to come up to the school and I had to pick him up. Why? Why did I have to pick this kid up? I had to pick this kid up because he's a man, okay? He's a little man and he's got a weak-ass stomach like most men do.
Oh, what is going on with her eyes? That was a demon.
Somebody busted ass in the library. He threw up not one time, not 2 times, but 3 times in the library. Literally, the nurse calls and she's like, "You're gonna have to come pick up your son because he just vomited 3 times in the library, like exorcist style, all over the place." Why? He's not even sick. Some kid farted next to him and he said that it made his stomach feel bad. So I have to interrupt my day because some kid's got a rank asshole. That's a new kind of block.
Oh my God.
Why though? Why?
Can we just not have? I
don't understand why. Yeah, first of all, put those away. Okay, this isn't your OnlyFans. Save that for your OnlyFans and your OnlyFan probably. But I'm like, why do these women why do you guys have kids if you don't want to actually parent them? Right? Like,
you don't want them,
right? And I mean, trust me, I'm not advocating for abortion at all. I'm just saying you got to know when you enter the act
right.
that might lead to kids. And if you just want to keep them at school when they're vomiting, I'm like, I mean, think about how mean that is.
Yeah. And to put it on blast like that.
Yes.
Does everybody have an OnlyFans now?
Not me.
I know, but I mean, I feel like we just talked about an OnlyFans mom the other day that was advertising, getting all this free advertising, and she's driving her kids to Christian school, and and I just why is everybody on OnlyFans? What is that?
We make a lot of money that way.
But at some point, haven't you seen enough boobs? Right. If you're a dude, what?
Also, this one, I think she was demon possessed.
Yeah, she looked a little demon possessed. Somebody needs to come in and do an exorcism.
I'd steer clear of her. It's been a blast, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you so much.